A massive black wave flowing through the Amazon forest. It's a colony of army ants, a dense carpet of foraging ants that can be 20 meters wide. If a scorpion crosses their path, they will swarm over it and easily subdue it. One evening, this mighty army ant colony suddenly disappeared from its nest. It's the massive migration of 1 million ants. And that was just the beginning of a long journey for these warrior nomads. Power comes at a price. The army ants cannot stay in one place. Insect photographer Satoshi Kuribayashi wants to capture these fierce creatures on camera. He is fascinated by their power, energy, and organizational skills. This program looks at how the army ants can cut such a devastating swath through the tropical rainforest. The Amazon rainforest in South America is our planet's richest biological incubator, sustaining a diverse variety of animal and plant species. Ecuador is located in the western Amazon region. The Andes Mountains range runs through it, to the east of which lie the Amazon forests. Yearly temperature averages 24 degrees Celsius. Annual rainfall reaches 4,200 milliliters. The high temperature and high humidity attract creatures of all types, such as the aerobatic spider monkey. The spider monkey uses its deft prehensile tail as a fifth limb. This one is dangling from a branch with its tail and eating something. It's a legume called guava by the locals. The pod contains a sweet and juicy cottony flesh. A shimmery blue butterfly is flying along the river. The morpho butterfly. Its underside is a subdued brown and the topside is blue. They're believed to use the flickering change of color to confuse their enemies and escape. A bizarre insect is walking on a tree trunk. It's about 10 centimeters long. A lanternfly. The protuberance at its head resembles that of an alligator. When it opens its wings, suddenly, 2 eye-like markings appear. They display these fake eyes to startle their enemies. Do you see the insect on the branch? Its shape and color are just like the branch, but it is a grasshopper. The stick grasshopper of Central and South America. And to prove it really is a grasshopper, it jumps. This is a poison frog. Its bright colors advertise the toxicity of the animal. With a tadpole on its back, it disappears into the woods. The Amazon is teeming with countless mysterious creatures. This is insect photographer Satoshi Kuribayashi, an expert in the field His camera has taken him around the globe, including Australia and Malaysia. He's here to capture army ants. Kuribayashi has thought long and hard about how to take candid shots of insects. The result is this insect's eye camera with a long and narrow tip. Close-ups do not startle the insects. The background is also visually in focus, allowing the viewer to get a glimpse of the insect's habitat. For his outstanding ingenuity, Kuribayashi received the Medal of Honor from the Japanese government in 2008. But one insect Kuribayashi is particularly interested in is the ant. Just like humans, ants display social behaviors and have very different ways of life. That's why they fascinate him. Taking center stage in this program is the most horrifying of ants.
僕はこのジャングルで会いたいと思ってるのは軍隊アリなんです。中でも特にその軍隊アリの女王アリをどうしても撮りたいと思って来たんですけどね。でその軍隊アリを見つけて果たして女王アリが撮れるのか、まあ気持ちはワクワクしてます。
Army ants are always scuttling around in the forest. The only way to find them is to walk about and look down.
こんなところにアリがいた。
But it's not a large colony, so they are not army ants.
どっかに軍隊アリが行列を作ってるんじゃないかなと思うんだけど。
5 hours into the search.
なんだこのアリは。
He's found a few ants walking on fallen leaves. Kuribayashi quietly observes. Further down, the ants form a large column, a characteristic behavior of army ants. These are Echiton burchelli army ants. They have long legs and tiny eyes.
すごいな、向こうから見渡す限り絨毯攻撃ってことです。すごい。
Within minutes, the entire forest floor seems covered with ants. Among the 300 species of army ants in the world, the Echiton burchelli are known to hunt on a particularly massive scale. They form columns and march straight forward. They depend primarily on pheromones and form an unimaginable number of columns. The swarm is now as much as 20 meters wide. Some columns have started to climb branches. They spread out to search for prey. The hungry hordes are on the move. Hiding spiders and insects are forced to leave. Something has fallen from a tree. It's a scorpion. The army ants immediately attack. They completely ignore the scorpion's strong poison and hard shell. More than 50 ants gang up on the scorpion, trying to bite all over its body. Within a minute, the scorpion is immobilized. The ants don't eat their prey on the spot. They bring it back home for their fellow worker ants and larvae. About 8 ants join forces to carry a huge centipede. Hunting expeditions are highly organized. This time the prey is a grasshopper. First, they bite the legs and pin them down. The victim can no longer escape. This is followed by a wave of workers arriving and pulling on the legs in an attempt to bring the prey down. Finally, the victim falls sideways. One ant presses the tip of its abdomen against the grasshopper and injects poison with the sting. The poison is similar to that of a bee in that it paralyzes the victim. With their sheer force of numbers and sophisticated communication system, army ants are experts at the arts of war. The army ants' organizational structure is also reflected in areas other than hunting. A closer look at the columns shows some ants have black heads, while others have white ones. But these are all Echiton burchelli army ants. There are 4 main types of workers, each having a specific role in the colony. First, standing on the side of the column is a large ant with a white head. This is a major worker. It is 1.5 centimeters long with large sickle-shaped mandibles. The major workers are the colony's guards. They stand near the columns and serve as lookouts. They hardly do any hunting or transportation. The major workers show their real ability when the colony is attacked by an enemy. With its 5mm long mandibles, this one is trying to bite the tip of the camera. This is how they chase off enemies. Carrying prey here is another type of worker. Their color and size are similar to those of the major worker, but the mandibles are different. This is the sub-major worker, 1.2 centimeters long. They have shorter mandibles compared to major workers, but their massive size helps them get a good grip. They are mainly carriers. Here, a sub-major worker is trying to grab the prey's leg. Sub-major workers have particularly long legs, allowing them to carry large prey with ease. The ants found in the largest number in a colony, however, and which form the core of the hunting operations, are another type of worker: the media workers. Although they only measure 8 millimeters in length, they are highly efficient warriors. They bite into their prey and pull. In a fatal tug of war, they tear their prey apart. These are the roles of the major, sub-major, and media workers. There is yet another type of worker in the colony, less conspicuous, but still highly significant in its contribution. The tiny ants at the feet of a major worker. These are the minor workers. Despite their diminutive name, they play a very important role. The larger ants are walking over a living bridge of ants, clinging tenaciously to each other. These ants are minor ants. Minor ants form bridges across gaps, such as between fallen leaves. When one ant arrives at the edge of a leaf, the following ant clings to it. The next ant clings to the second one, and so on until they fill the gap. You could think of them as army engineers. These bridges are powerfully effective in enabling the ants to march smoothly across the forest floor. The sheer ingenuity they use to work their way through the forest is simply amazing. 4 differently shaped and sized workers. A look at a column of ants carrying prey clearly shows the separate roles for each. What the media workers catch, the sub-major workers carry. A major worker serving as guard. The minors are forming a bridge. The 4 types of working ants, all firmly fulfilling their responsibilities. This intricate division of labor allows them to lead efficient social lives. p.m. Rays of sunlight filter through leaves. There is a change in the movement of the incessantly marching army ants. Carrying prey, they're walking back the way they came. The column eventually starts to climb up a tree. They are all drawn into a large hollow. The inside is pitch black. These black things are all ants. They stretch out their legs and hook their claws together to form chains. They are connected to each other horizontally, vertically, and even front to back. This black mess is a nest of Echiton burchelli army ants. It's called a bivouac. Inside, the queen lays her eggs, which then hatch as larvae. The hollow is the outer wall, keeping the ants safe from wind and rain. What's really protecting the queen is the thick curtain formed by working ants. Kuribayashi is hoping to get a glimpse of the queen. Using his insect's eye camera, he peers inside the hollow. A cluster of ants. Several layers are connected all the way to the back. Unfortunately, the camera doesn't spot her. The queen is nowhere to be seen. There is very little footage of queens in the wild. Kuribayashi experiences this difficulty firsthand. An impregnable defense layer protects the queen. Kuribayashi was unable to break that barrier. By the time it got dark, the foragers were back inside the hollow. And there they stayed all night. The next morning, the army ants are once again on the move. Every morning, they march out of camp to forage, and in the evening, they return to the bivouac with their day's catch. After a good night's rest, waves of energetic workers pour out of the nest. The ants stream down the tree. Once they reach the ground, they spread out. Then they determine today's hunting trail. They select a different path from the one they took yesterday. The ants often choose large fallen leaves or trees, perhaps because they're easier to walk on. A torrent of ants. It would be practically impossible for any creature, whether it is an insect, a spider, or even a scorpion, to escape once caught in this wave. These tiny ants wipe out all insects in their path that could be prey. For that reason, they choose a different hunting trail every day. Is there no way potential prey can outwit this lethal horde? Kuribayashi makes a surprising discovery. Army ants are walking near a small stick insect, but they don't attack. Even this mantis is off the hook. The fact is, army ants are practically blind. They need movement or a scent to trigger their attack. Whatever keeps still is likely to be invisible to them. Luckily, this cricket also survived. Even more surprising, there are insects that move around, but are safe. These insects going in and out of sight are rove beetles. They cover themselves with chemicals that smell just like army ants, and pretend to be members of the ant colony. Creatures associating with ants like this are called myrmecophiles. These particular myrmecophiles feed on prey they steal from army ants and eat weakened army ants. They basically slip into the mighty army to assure their own food security and safety. Individually, ants are tiny and inconspicuous. However, their numbers are astronomical, and they are one of the most successful groups of insects found on Earth. Cephalotini ants. This tribe of ants is commonly found in Latin America. They feature a unique shield-shaped head. These ants build their nests high up in the trees, and when they encounter an enemy, they glide away on the wind using their flat head. This ant has an unusual face. It's a trap-jaw ant. It has sensory hairs on the inside of large mandibles that snap shut on prey when they are touched. It successfully caught a grasshopper larva. It then quickly applies the poisonous sting to paralyze its prey. This area is also home to many other species of army ants. These are Echiton rapax army ants. A conflict breaks out with the Cephalotini ants. Unlike the Echiton burchelli, this Echiton rapax rarely attacks long-horned grasshoppers. They only hunt other ants. The Cephalotini fights for its life. However, the Echiton rapax mainly hunts ants that build nests underground. This one lets the tree-dwelling Cephalotini go. This is a nest of Ponerinae ants. Echiton rapax are storming their way into the nest and exiting with eggs and larvae they have snatched inside. While more than 300 species of army ants are known in the world, many of them are like the Echiton rapax, exclusively hunting other ants. Here, Labidus ants are surrounding a Pheidole ant. Once they secure one ant nest, they are guaranteed lots of food, which consists of larvae and pupae. It's a real treat for the army ants. Through such battles, ants maintain a balance in their ecosystem. The collective body weight of ants living in the Amazon rainforest is said to account for 1/5 of the entire animal kingdom there. Some 20 days have passed since Kuribayashi first began his quest for the queen in the forests of Ecuador. One evening, something major occurs. This is the bivouac Kuribayashi has been observing. The ants are leaving the nest. Until now, They would head out in search of food during the daytime, but never left the nest at night. This night, all that changed. They form columns and march straight forward, just like when they go out to hunt. The columns march down the tree and move through the forest. However, something is different from their daytime march. They're carrying something white, larvae and pupae raised inside the bivouac. They're also carrying prey that they caught and stored as food. With all their most treasured belongings, this march almost looks like a moonlit exodus. The major workers are keeping watch over the columns. The sub-major workers are carrying the large larvae, while the media and minor workers are carrying whatever they can manage. The level of efficiency is the same even during a night march. The gap between the ground and the fallen tree is filled by minor workers forming a bridge. Joining in on the march is a black, shiny insect. It's a member of the rove beetle family, different from the one seen earlier during the day. And then another type of rove beetle arrives. Again, it's a myrmecophile that lives with the ants. This is the beetle's larva. In fact, quite a few insects like these are found in an army ant colony. The mysterious march continued all night, gradually emptying the hollow of the tree. The next day, the hollow is quiet. The ants are all gone. It's completely empty. In one night, the swarm of 1 million ants has vanished. Where could they have gone? After searching for the ants' destination, a black cluster was found at the base of a bush. They're army ants. This time, they've gathered not in a hollow, but in an open area. However, just like in the hollow, the ants are linked leg to leg in some sort of self-assemblage. This is their new home, a bivouac. They marched all night to move to a new place. The queen should also be somewhere inside. Kuribayashi is determined to find her. He decides to insert his insect's eye camera deep into the bivouac. Behind the numerous layers of ants, white larvae are visible. There are also pupae. However, the bivouac is heavily protected by the workers. The queen is nowhere to be seen. When migrating, the ants brought everything with them, including eggs, larvae, and prey. Although they looked like they had settled down, things were far from over. That night, incredibly enough, they leave the new bivouac behind and are once again on the move. And just like the first migration, they take all their belongings with them. Their destination, the root of a tree. And again they form a cluster in open space. Repeated migrations night after night. What could this mean? In fact, when they first left their bivouac, the colony was facing food shortages. The ants went hunting every day. Their daily foraging range is about 90 meters straight from their bivouac. They attack any creature they can, wiping out all food sources after each hunting trip. That's why the next day they take a new direction. 3 weeks later, there is no more food around the nest. However, they didn't move despite food shortages because the queen was laying eggs and her abdomen was too large for her to walk. Three weeks later, she regains her slim figure after laying all her eggs. That is when the colony starts moving in search of new food. The migration continues every day. This is because during the nomadic period, the eggs hatch as larvae, which increases the need for food. The colony must constantly hunt in a new area and find large amounts of food. 2 weeks later, the queen reaches the egg-laying period, and once again, the colony cannot move. And so, the colony cycles between two phases, migratory and stationary. Such is the fate of these nomadic group raiders. The fifth night. This time he decides to turn down the light. Looking for the queen in the darkness is an even more daunting challenge. According to one researcher, the queen is closely guarded by many ants when on the move. Kuribayashi looks hard at the cluster of ants. He sometimes sees large ants, but none is the queen. A little past 2 a.m., 8 hours into shooting.
塊が移動してるな。ああ、ヘイアールがいっぱい。これだ。塊が移動してる。こんな感じにいるのかな。なんか中にいる。いる？これだこれだ。これか。
It's the queen. She finally shows herself. She's about 2.5 centimeters long. She's walking slowly, surrounded and guarded by more than 10 major workers. She has a much larger abdomen than the workers. Soon after her birth, the queen mates with a male ant from another colony. She forms a new colony, and from there on, her sole duty is to lay eggs. The queen is the mother of all the workers. And if the entire million-strong colony acts together, it's all because of the queen's pheromones. If it weren't for the queen, the huge kingdom would collapse. Migration, where the queen is exposed, is the most dangerous operation for the army ants. No matter what it takes, the major workers must protect the queen. Eventually, the queen disappears into the darkness. 5 short minutes. This was the first and last time Kuribayashi saw the queen.
この軍隊アリというのはこのジャングルを支配するような非常にこの怖い存在のアリだと言われていましたけれども、非常にこの神経質で警戒心が強くて、なかなか